All right, let's try this again. The internet, our tech does not like when we talk about like trashy reality TV. Every time, like when we did the Naked and Afraid episode, we had to send it to Spencer in 3 parts. Sorry, Spencer. It did not like it. It just didn't.
It was the talk about tampons.
I also kind of don't like this particular day, but we have thoughts. We need to vent to each other and to you, and you know. This feels like a confessional box, although I was never Catholic. But I assume the confessional box is specifically for going in and being like, forgive me, Father, for I have watched TLC.
I've watched Milf Manor, Father, please forgive me.
Yeah. Hi, guys. Welcome to Pop Culture Curiosities. This is the podcast where we don't really have an intro, but we talk about pop culture, past and present, to each other. We tell each other stories that we find interesting about the making of our favorite shows or just, you know, pop culture events that kind of captured everybody's attention. Today we're talking about Milf Manor. This was a special request sent to us by, well, not sent to us. This was a special request given to us by our producer, Spencer, who is also my brother. Hi, Spencer.
Hi, Spencer.
You owe us one final. Well, we owe you a few, and now you get to take 1 or 2 off of that list because we're even on a couple of those things. Spencer saw somebody talking about Milf Manor and was like, you guys have to watch this. He came to you and me while you were over to record another episode, and we were eating dinner, and he was like, you guys have to talk about this.
and we
so
did.
For the first time, like, usually we take turns, or like one of us will take a spin of doing like the research and then telling the other person about it. We watched this whole show together and experienced in mutual horror. We trauma bonded over this episode, over the show. We spent most of the show just kind of watching like through our fingers, just like, oh God, what's happening?
and your grandmother saw some of it with us too.
She did. Yeah, she did. And then we were like, Grandma, you want to? She was like, no, I'm invested now. And I was like, oh God. Which brings me to the fact that this show is about, like my dad walks down while you and I are watching Milf Manor. And it's at the point where the one mom, we'll get there, is like, I had sex with your friend, son.
Oh, yeah.
And my dad's like, revealed. Oh, wow, look at that. I have dishes to do. And then it's just like doing dishes. And we're just like, we're so confused. And he's like, well, I'm glad you're confused. Then he left.
I'm glad you're confused.
So sorry, Dad.
Sorry to the Vandenhouten residents.
But it hit me, right? While I was like mortified that my father and my grandmother saw parts of the show, people willingly went on this show to talk about sex around their moms. Just willingly. They did this willingly. It was allegedly a surprise to them, but I don't believe that. When we see the reaction shots, they're like, oh, wow, my mom is here.
What is my son doing here?
That is my child.
What's going on?
Wow, Ouija.
Oh, my God. Or doesn't Pola say something like, oh, my gosh, my life? Or something like that. But she says it in Spanish, which is another plot point we will bring up later.
Paolo and Jose are favorites.
Everyone's our favorites.
At the very least, did a good job selling the surprise, because she's like
having one of those moments.
Yeah. Yeah, she says something like, Jose, mi vida, and then he's just like, Mommy? And then they're just like, and I was all like, I would also be like, Mommy? Oh no, Nani?
Nani? Nani? I can't remember what mom is. Isn't it Otosa or Okasa? One of the two. I can't remember.
I don't speak Japanese. I apologize.
Nani?
But yeah, so we'll get into it. But basically, I have the Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia.
Yay. And the sources are cited, just not by us.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like it's the premise of the show is listed as, because I could tell them the premise of the show
Yeah.
without the help of Wikipedia. All these moms show up. If you don't know, MILF stands for Mom I'd like to pick flowers with.
Befriend.
Befriend. It's an older woman that you're interested in. There are also DILFs, but we're not talking about DILFs today. We're talking about.
That's a separate reality TV show hosted by Stormy Daniels, actually.
Wait, I can't tell if you're joking or
I'm
not.
not joking. There's literally, I can't remember what its name, but it deals with DILF, and Stormy Daniels is the host.
No, I thought you were joking.
I'm not joking. You can look it up on the free Wikipedia.
I believe you. But my brain couldn't wrap around that being a real thing. Oh, God. Okay. Milf Manor. Bunch of moms who are older than the typical 20-something dating reality show crowd show up. They're giving shady looks to each other at this bar. They're at this resort. It's beautiful. It's in Mexico. And then they're like, all right, let's introduce you to the hot single guys that you're going to be dating. It's all of their sons. They're dating all of each other's sons. And the sons are in turn dating all of each other's mothers. So all those your mom jokes, they lived it for God knows how long. Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, describes this as MILF Manor is an American reality television series that has been airing on Sundays on the Lord's Day on TLC since January 15th, 2023. 8 single women between the ages of 40 and 60 live in a villa in Mexico to pursue romantic relationships with 8 single men a few decades younger. In the first episode, the show reveals that the men are the women's sons, and it says citation needed. And I'm just like, citation? That's the premise of the show. What do you mean citation needed? They're like, we don't believe that women and sons would actually do this. There is no amount of money. This is a Freudian nightmare. So yeah, very quickly, let me just go through. You've got the mom and son pairs, right? So you've got Charlene and Harrison. Very typical all-American type of mom and son. That's the way that that's what kind of Southern, just kind of, that's the vibe that I was hit with. Charlene is 46, her son is 23, and Charlene strikes me as the very earnest mom that tries so hard, but also kind of embarrasses you. Right? She gives off the vibe that she shows up with the snacks at your soccer championship, and she's so proud of you, but then she's also telling embarrassing stories about you and showing embarrassing baby photos to all of your teammates, and you're just like, Mom.
So kind of like Lisa Belcher from Bob's Burgers.
Sure, I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen a full episode of Bob's Burgers. I saw half an episode when we were all on blockers together.
Well, there's this one part where it's oh, sorry everyone, Bob had stomach problems, but she said the actual thing, and it's oh, Linda. So
I have to watch it. I know, I've only heard good things. I need to watch it. But anyway, that's Charlene and Harrison. Harrison, by the way, just disappears. He doesn't get taken off the show formally that I saw. He just disappears.
Yeah, he's only mentioned a few times. They are with the dance challenge. They're Harrison.
All the moms
Harrison.
are he's like Magic Mike, and it's oh God.
Yeah. And then when they were doing the final, oh, who's gonna be chosen? His name is never mentioned.
He's not mentioned to go home, but then he also doesn't have a pair, so he doesn't stay. He just I would love to know. I'm gonna look up. We're gonna take you guys through the episodes after we finish taking you guys through the cast, and then maybe we'll just surf some articles on the web, and Spencer can just, like the reality producers on the show, kind of edit it to look like we knew what we were doing, or tried to. Because they really try to give you those reality show plot lines, but it feels like they didn't know what plot lines they were going for when they filmed it, and then they just tried to fix it all in post.
Yeah, and it's just with 16 people, then 14, then 16 again, trying to get all those storylines straightened out. They were just whatever, just throw this argument here, throw that argument there, we're fine. It's TLC.
Yeah, and I know none of you are listening to this podcast because you want to hear us dissect this show from a filmmaker's industry standpoint, but we're interested. It's how our brains work. Have you ever worked in reality TV? I've never worked on any capacity in reality TV. I have friends that were PAs on I hit the mic. I'm sorry, Spencer. I have friends that were PAs on reality TV, and their takeaway was just like, do not, at least don't, like, not so much for like working on it as like crew, but just like, they're like, how is it worth it for anybody to like go through this as a cast member?
Oh gosh, I'm constantly watching reality TV shows, and I'm just looking at the contestants, and I'm like, what was the aftercare for this show?
Probably none, because this show had no budget. But if I'm wrong, please be feel free to DM me and let me know that I'm wrong. Producers of the show, I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, like we've said this before, like we're not, like, this is not an exclusively reality TV podcast. If you're just finding us, hi, thank you for watching us wherever you get your podcasts. But like, because we tend to talk about like shady things in the industry, it's just kind of naturally where it goes, since we've had so many like set experiences that were kind of chaotic. We tend to talk about reality TV a lot because it's crazy. What they go through is crazy, and then the end product is crazy. And it ends up being in the cultural zeitgeist, and then a clusterfuck behind the scenes. So it's right up our alley in that way. So quickly to go through the rest of the cast, we have Shannon and Ryan. Shannon is 51, her son is 30. They're from Atlanta, represent. We have Kelly and Joey. Kelly is probably the most prominent character. She's like the villain, or at least she wanted to be the villain.
And she wanted to win.
She really wanted to win.
Yeah.
She really strikes me as like she wants to be the villain, or they wanted her to be the villain, and she was like, more screen time, yes, but like that's the vibe that I get. I don't know. Like, obviously, don't like harass or make judgments about any of these people personally, because I always say that with reality TV, there's an edit, there's producers meddling. People are basically playing characters, at least caricatures of themselves. So we're always just commenting on like what we see, but we don't know that that's the real person. So, yeah.
And please
disclaimer.
Don't send hate to
Don't send hate. If you want to vent in the comments under this video, if you're watching us on YouTube, under this podcast, do that. That's fine. Then we have April and Ricky, which I forgot they existed. And I'm so sorry, April and Ricky. It's not you. They just got no screen time.
Yeah, like right before everything that happened, we get a little bit where she tries to take Charlene's role, and he tries to take Jimmy's role because he was like, oh, toes. And she was just like,
Imagine that being your role. The Jimmy role is like, you're the toe guy.
Also the one where you're just like, oh, does he need a hug role?
Yeah. Trigger warning for like general like creepiness as far as like parents and kids talking about things that parents and kids should probably not be talking about, or at least in ways that they shouldn't be talking about it. You know what I mean? Like, I've never been a parent, but like, I've been a child, and I definitely don't want to have these conversations with my parents.
I never even liked myself as a child. So, I mean.
And don't let your kids watch this episode, maybe. If you're thinking of putting on something for your kid, or your kids in the room, we're not going to go into, like, very bad detail, but, like, a general warning. This is not the one for kids, and nothing we make is generally, like, kid content, but like, this one specifically is just like, ugh.
But you can mute it so Avery can get the runtime if you're on
earbuds
YouTube.
In.
Yeah, and you can giggle, and if anyone asks, just say these two are speaking about Bluey, and it's hilarious.
We have Stephanie Johnson, Billy. I don't know why everybody else's last name is denoted specifically for them, and Billy's is not, and Ricky's isn't either. Poor Billy and Ricky.
Maybe they're like Cher or Madonna, where they don't. I mean,
I guess it's to be assumed that. I guess you could. It's not a stretch to assume that they have the same last name as their mothers, but like, not everybody has the same last name as their mother.
Yeah, that's probably. They probably have. They're probably like, oh, they just have the same last name as their moms. It's fine.
But some of them also do, and then like, it's still denoted. But anyway.
Oh.
Stephanie is one of our favorites. Poor Billy gets done so dirty.
Oh, so by the edit or Kelly? Or both. Yeah. Sorry, this is nervous laughter.
I was done dirty by Kelly because of what I had to witness.
Oh, God. Which episode?
All of them.
All of them.
Then we have So Young and Jimmy. Poor Jimmy. That's all I'm going to say for right now. Let's move on. God, Jimmy was my age. or is my age. And this was a year ago, so I can only assume he's a little older than me now, but when he did the show, he's my age.
Well, Jose is my age, and I'm just like, oh, look at him, look at me. Anyway.
We have Pola and Jose, our
Yay!
favorites.
Our favorite, the Pola family.
Yes. Jose's sister / Pola's daughter, also gorgeous. Well, everybody in this family is like supermodel material. Everybody just seems so genuinely nice and like outgoing and friendly and confident in themselves, and we love that. That's the energy we need more of.
Yeah. I believe Ella is the sister's name.
I believe
and
so.
There was just a point where she was just sitting and listening to someone talk, and I'm just like, and the wind is like blowing in her hair, and I'm just like,
gorgeous.
So
gorgeous.
Stunning. Absolutely stunning.
A whole family of attractive people. Everybody.
And
Pola is good looking, and both of her children have her looks, so.
Yeah, and watching throughout, it's just like, oh wow, the moms love Jose, the sons love Jose. I'm sure
I
the
love
producers.
Jose.
We love Jose. Everybody loves Jose.
I don't often like see reality guys and be like, ooh, but Jose. The one part where he was just like, it's not gentlemanlike, and he was like genuinely mad.
Yeah,
I
like
was
his intensity. It was just like, oh.
He's gonna go like I almost said Decepticon. He's gonna go Dalek on like the impolite man babies and be like, exterminate. We need that. It's giving king energy.
His arms retract into his sleeves and a plunger and a whisk come out.
It's impolite. Exterminate. Oh, God. Then we have other April. There were two Aprils. There was April that got screen time and her son Gabriel. April is the oldest contestant on the show. She's 60. I think she was technically 59 when she was on the show, but she's 60. So she starts, spoiler alert, dating the youngest contestant on the show, 20. And real quick, I just want to say, I'm not against age gap relationships as a thing, but like the way that this show handles it could not be any creepier. And everything that people have issues with when it comes to certain age gap relationships, I feel like is kind of demonstrated on this show, right? Because 20 years old, like, sure, you're 26, be in an age gap relationship. 30, sure. 25, whatever. 28. 20? He's 20. That's a baby.
Yes.
I know he's not. I know he's a full-grown adult, but still.
Maybe a little bit more growing to do.
He can't drink yet.
Oh yeah, I remember when they were at the restaurant, it was just like, wait a second, can he drink? And it's like, oh, in Mexico you can drink at 18, but he can't drink in the United States.
She's thrice his age. What are they going to talk about? I don't mean to judge anybody else's relationship. I know he's an adult, but geez, that's dancing across the line.
just a little bit. And also it's just like, oh, how old are you? Oh, I'm 21. How old are you? And it's like, oh, are you 22? And it's just like that kind of flirting. And I was just like, I don't know how I feel.
She says about him, oh, he's a baby, and then starts dating him, which like is weird. Like imagine that the genders were reversed, right? If a 60-year-old was like, oh, she's a baby, and then started dating a 20-year-old, we would all be rightfully angry. So like, you know, I don't know. I know everybody's an adult. I know that. I'm not saying anybody was like doing anything illegal. But I'm just saying personally.
Just that noise.
Like I'm just saying, like anyway, the last mother-son duo that we have is Lisa and Ryan. They come in later than everybody else. When one team gets eliminated very randomly. We think it's just because they didn't give him any screen time and they didn't have anything to do with him, so they just kicked him off the show, which is pretty rude. But anyway.
I'm just imagining them sitting in the hotel because, reality TV shows, they have like backup contestants and they're just sitting there like, oh, they're not going to use us. This never happens. Hey, by the way, you're in tomorrow. What?
Yeah, Ryan they call him New Ryan. Well, original Ryan is just regular Ryan. And New Ryan looks like a 2000s boy band member.
Oh yeah, I started singing. Or you were talking about Backstreet Boys, and I was like, In Sync, and you're like, no, that's not who I was talking about.
Oh, well, I was singing an NSYNC song, and you're like, oh, and then you started singing a Backstreet Boys song, and like, Backstreet Boys, but you know what? Same vibe, all the same. Remember on House of Mouse where they had Huey, Dewey, and Louie as the Quack Street Boys?
I never watched House of Mouse.
That was one of my favorite House of Mouse gimmicks, was the Quack Street Boys. Anyway.
Yep.
Quack Street's back. All right.
Oh, and side note, Lisa, our behind the scenes information about Lisa, she was on Nightmare on Elm Street 4 and 5, and that's like the Dream Warriors one, and she's, spoiler alert, the final girl on both those films. So yay for her, good for her. And she looks like Goldie Hawn.
She's gorgeous. She's so pretty. I loved her. I liked Lisa. She also gave like kind of embarrassing mom energy, but you could tell that she like really like loved her son, and I was like, "Aw."
That's but not as much as Paula and Jose love each other.
Yeah, that really pissed me off because Paula like was like my husband died when I was young, and I was a young mom at like 22 or 24 with two little kids, and I had to raise them all by myself. And then they're this close knit, functional family, and everybody's like trying to make this plot line about like it's creepy how close they are, and like trying to make it this like inappropriate thing. And it's like, yeah, she raised him and his sister from a young age when on her own because their dad died. They're probably close. Stop making that weird. There's other weird things going on that you can make plots about, but you did that, so you don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, and like watching it, I never got like an uncomfortable vibe. I'm just like, no, that's just a mom just caring for her child. And
well,
like
codependent. Like she just wanted like him to find somebody who was like actually good for him, and he wanted the same for her. And they were like probably the most functional like not couple, but like group of people. Duo, let's say that duo on the show.
Or you said codependent. My first thought was Ann and Eva from America's Next Top Model Cycle 3, because there was a like the episode title was like the girl that is codependent, and it's like Ann is codependent. We don't get what her relationship with Eva is like. That's weird.
And poor Eva was like, I didn't ask for this. Like, I just made a friend on the plane, and this girl's crying, and like,
yeah, and now I'm taking care of her, and Ann's just like, you'll be at my wedding. Spoiler alert: Eva was not in Ann's wedding, and Ann was not in Eva's wedding.
Oof.
That's so sad.
But congratulations for them for having weddings.
I think they're both divorced
now.
Oh,
sorry. My condolences on the divorce, and congratulations, and I'm sorry.
But recently, Norelle and Anne re-met or like got together in real, or like visit each other in real life after so many years.
Aww,
so that's nice. Not got together. They just like met up in real life.
So anyway. That's the cast. Going through them, and like nothing against them as people, but like this show really wanted to be scandalous, and it did that in some ways, but in other ways it just couldn't even be interesting. It was kind of boring in places. Like it kind of was just the people on it were kind of normal.
Yeah, there wasn't like some big, larger than life personality where
Kelly. There was Kelly.
Other than Kelly, where you're just like or it's like if you had a list of like regular reality show tropes, Kelly was the only one that kind of fit into one, where she's like the villain, and usually there's like this person, then that person, but it's just like there's Paula and Jose and Ryan and Stephanie and Joey and Gabriel, and it's just like, okay, who am I supposed to be rooting for? What's going on here? Why is everyone yelling?
Yeah, there were like a lot of boring segments spiked with a bunch of I am uncomfortable, I am uncomfortable, I am uncomfortable. And that was the show. That's my review of the show. No, but like, okay. So
the first challenge,
they get there, the moms are all kind of shady with each other, or at least that's the way that it looks on camera. And then the big reveal happens. Hey, you're dating your son. Like, you're not dating your sons, but everybody else is going to be dating your son, and you're going to be dating everybody else's son, and vice versa, and all that. And they act surprised, and they're like, what? I had no idea. I thought my mom was going to be on a different reality show at the same time and place as me.
Those darn NDAs.
But Paula and Jose really at least sold it. They I like their reaction where he's like, "Mommy?" It's just like,
"Oh my god, my son, what's going on?"
Yeah. Does she say like my life? Like does she say like Jose mi vida? And I'm just like, oh, I feel so bad. They're lovely. They're my favorite they're my favorite duo. I
My
love them so
favorite,
much.
yep.
I think they're everybody's favorite. Partially because they're, like, the only two that seem to be, like, you know... I was almost going to say non-backstabby. That's not even true. They just seem like...
Genuine
people.
Yeah,
like, everybody liked them. You could tell. Like, when... Even when, like, at the end, you could tell that, like, they were like, oh, I'm gonna miss them.
Oh, gosh, and, like, the three moms that chose Jose.
We'll get there. So,
Yeah.
First challenge. I'm gonna pull up the IMDb just so that I can... I remember the first challenge, but I just want to make sure because the episodes all kind of run together.
Yeah. So basically, basically, there's a challenge that they have to do because... Well, the moms and sons are sharing a room, and two of the rooms have hot tubs, and one has like a hot tub and a sauna or something. And then one of the hot tubs ended up not working. But
yeah, as Cody Ko says, sorry to cut you off real quickly.
Okay.
As Cody Ko says in his video, because he did the whole series episode by episode, we don't have the strength to do that. We're just dumping all of our feelings into this podcast episode and then moving on. Cody Ko was like, yeah, because when you're sharing a room, because they find out that all the moms and sons have to share rooms to make it even more awkward. And he's like, yeah, when you're sharing a room with your mom, you definitely want a hot tub in there.
Yeah.
That's not weird. But anyway, so they're competing for hot tub rooms. So
and and then so they're given a challenge, and basically the moms have to be individually blindfolded, and they must find their son in the crowd. But you may be asking, how are they going to find their son in the crowd? Well, what has to happen is the sons have to take off their shirts, and the mothers must find them based off their chest and abs.
Literally, like, forcing mothers to feel up their sons. It's very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That was the thing. I think Spencer saw it making the rounds in, like, commentary YouTube. Hey, shout out. I am commentary YouTube, but I'm just kind of in my own little corner where I'm like, hey, let's talk about stuff that's not SEO relevant right now most of the time. But Spencer saw other YouTubers talking about this, and I think when he got to that part, he, like, was like, that's when he ran to us and was like, you guys have to watch this. And you had seen that far, and I had known almost nothing about it. I just heard somebody mention it. And so I was like, what? They did what?
The moms were blindfolded, and they had to pick out their son based off of his shirtless torso.
My father came down while the two of us are sitting on the couch watching this show. And he's just like, oh, wow, look at that. I gotta do dishes. Wow.
And your grandmother was watching too, and she was just
she came down
what?
and got invested, and we're like, Grandma, you don't have to watch this. She was like, no, I'm invested now. Like, okay. And it just reminded me of, like, how awkward this must be, because I was like, I feel awkward just, like, having my parents see this. These people signed up to go through this with their parent and, like, talk about sex and all this stuff, and, like, on TV, and, like, relationships, and Truth or Dare, like, you could not pay me enough money in the world, and I am an extremely boring person. You could not pay me enough money in the world to play Truth or Dare with my mother.
Oh gosh. But I want to be like, oh, but when the whole body shot off Jose thing, I'm sure a lot of people were like, yes, but
I'm sure his mother loved that. Anyway.
Sorry.
So, we're just in the first episode, though, which, by the way, the episode titles are the dumbest episode titles I've ever seen.
Gosh.
Episode 1, MILF said, knock you out. So after they get done feeling up their children for hot tubs, that's what they did, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I make jokes when I'm uncomfortable.
And at least Pola was the most, like, scientific about it. She's like, oh, yes, I own a studio, like, and we work out, and, like, I know your shoulders. She was feeling his shoulders, because, they work out. So she was just like, yeah, you're built. That's my son. She didn't, like, go down the abs. Oh, there was there was someone, I want to say So Young or Kelly, who was like, oh, yeah, give me a hug. Okay, and the son is just, like, right there, just watching, just being like, being
traumatized actively in front of our eyes for the cruel entertainment of a nation.
Yeah.
So anyway, after all that happens, the only other important thing that really happens on that episode is Kelly is like, I've been here for 6 hours. I'm going to try to hook up with somebody. And she tries to hook up with Ryan, OG Ryan.
Yeah.
And, like, her son is like, please don't bring this guy that you don't know and I don't know into the room that I am also in. Please.
You are joking. You are joking. You're joking. Mom, Mom, you're joking, right?
Yeah, as Cody Co brought up, it just like feels like a coping mechanism of like, you're joking me, you're joking, right, Mom?
Yeah, and like there's like a text and it's like, where are you? Come upstairs. And it's just like,
Oh my god, briefly, can we talk about the fact that, and apparently other shows are like this nowadays, but I guess either because of COVID restrictions, budgetary reasons, or both, they didn't bother to have a host.
oh yeah, they just
And
have
the
a
show really
phone.
could have benefited from one. It could have given it a lot of structure, right? Like, I watch Love is Blind and I'm like, why are the Lachey's here? They don't even need a host on the show. But I understand that, like, in parts of the show, you just kind of, it just helps for structure to, like, have somebody there, like, explaining things to them. In this show, they just get text messages, and it feels weird.
Ding. Oh, everyone, I got a text. Oh, thank goodness we're all conveniently sitting around this
It's even
circle.
more awkward than in America's Next Top Model, where they're like, Tyra mail, right? At least then it's just like, you can tell, like, somebody dropped it off, and they're like, guys, I got Tyra mail. This one's just like, oh my god, I have received a text message. It says one of us is going home right now. And it's just like, oh no.
Who's going home?
All right, so let's move on to episode 2. Your MILF should know.
Oh, that's the secrets revealed episode.
Is that the secret? Oh, it was already the episode 2?
I think so, because that was when, or I believe that, because I think it was really early on when.
It's where they play Truth or Dare. So in this episode, the moms and the sons each have to, well, no, they don't play Truth or Dare. They play, it's like Two Truths and a Lie, but they just have a truth.
Yeah, and they have to choose if their son, or no, they have to trick their mom or son, and if they get it wrong, they win.
It was the most convoluted challenge I've ever seen in reality TV. So what they do is everybody goes up to a board and privately writes like their deepest, darkest secret on the board. And then everybody one by one takes turns going in and trying to guess which one is either their moms, if they're the son, or the sons, if they're the mother, a deep, dark secret. But the thing is, if they get it right, they lose because they're trying to stump their family member. So it was confusing. Yeah. It was very confusing. And it was just a mess. Some of the questions were just, some of them were like, whatever. It was just like, oh, I, slept with somebody on a yacht or whatever. And it's like, okay, yeah. I don't care. That's just, okay.
I had a one night stand and I didn't even know their name.
Okay, cool. I don't care. Carrie Underwood.
Oh, and then there was, I got pink eye from bleeping bleep. But they only blur out the first word, and it's just like, well...
Yeah, they didn't bleep out ass. They bleeped out the thing that came before ass.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The one that we're...
Well, so there was one, and who was it? That was like, I slept with your teacher.
Oh, gosh. Was that... I want to say Shannon or Kelly, maybe?
Yeah, I can't remember, but one of them, that was one of the big, deep, dark secrets, but the one that caused all the controversy, the big bombshell, was somebody was like, I had sex with your best friend. One, I would like to know how old the best, like, how long ago was it? Because, like, the kid was, like, 26, the son, at the time of filming, so it's like, if this happened last year, still cringe, but, like, at least not illegal. Like, did this, like, I don't think I want to know. I don't think I want to know. I just, maybe less details are better.
And the less we know, the better.
Yeah, but that was So Young's big secret, is she slept with her son's best friend. And her son did not take it well, as he shouldn't have. Like, I'm not blaming him for not taking it well. This, like, messed this poor guy up for, like, at least 2 solid episodes.
Yeah, I don't think she even, and she was, like, happy. Oh, like, she was just like, oh, I did it, woo.
She did not register how, like, cringe that was.
And Jimmy was just like.
And everybody else was just like, what? Like, she clearly thought this was just, like, a quirky, goofy, I was in a silly, goofy mood type thing. And it was just like, nope, it's pretty bad. That's pretty rough. It just reminded me of on Friends when Monica dated her dad's best friend.
Was that Bruce Willis?
It was Tom Selleck.
Oh, Tom Selleck.
Rachel dates Bruce Willis for a couple
Oh, yeah.
episodes. That's less weird because he's not her parent. He didn't know her when she was a literal child. Like, Monica's boyfriend literally, like, knew her when she was, like, 8 years old, riding around on a thing, and then, like, now they're dating. I think the only reason they got away with that was because the boyfriend in question was Tom Selleck, and, like, everybody's just like, oh.
Tom Selleck with his mustache.
Ooh woo, Tom Selleck.
Ooh woo. Everyone loves a good ooh woo.
Like, the character wasn't creepy. The character was, like, very respectful to Monica, but, like, the whole situation was definitely... wouldn't make a whole plot line for, like, half a season about that anymore. But anyway.
I could see that being in a soap opera.
Oh, absolutely. Soap opera. Because soap operas are messy. That's the point. But, like, this was, like, a silly, goofy comedy where it's just, like, isn't that so quirky and funny that Monica is dating the guy who literally, like, was around when she was being raised? Strange. Anyway.
Now I'm just imagining the So Young plot line being in a soap opera and just seeing that play out, and Jimmy's just like, why is this being brought up again? Because he had to, like, work through that while he has to be in an interview chair with his mom.
Episode 3 is titled Your MILF Don't Dance.
Oh, that's the dancing episode where we see Harrison, where we get Harrison's most screen time.
Harrison just unceremoniously leaves. I don't know what happened to Harrison. I'd love to know. Because he doesn't get, like, formally eliminated that I remember. And if he did, and I don't remember it, that says something about how little screen time he got. But, like, I don't believe he formally got eliminated, and he also didn't stay, like, in the final round. So he just disappeared.
Yeah, I think Charlene was carrying the storyline, because she was just like, you know what, I need to find someone. I know what I want. This is what I want. I need to find someone who knows what I want and will give it to me.
But yes, so this is the episode where they have a dance challenge where the moms and sons have to dance together to a song that, of course, they purposely picked an inappropriate, like, song and routine to dance for them to do, because of course they did.
Yeah, and it has to demonstrate, like, love, something, passion.
It's like, that's your mom, that's your mom, that's your mom. But Harrison gets his one and only, like, moment where, like, he's dancing and he's good at the dance, and everybody's like, ooh, he's like Magic Mike. And it's like,
I think, like, he calls himself Magic Mike or something like that. And then everyone calls him that, but yeah.
This is also the episode where the whole Stephanie, Ryan...
Oh, gosh.
So there's a love triangle because, of course, there is on reality dating. Stephanie, one of the moms, has Ryan, who's like 30, and Gabriel. I'm so sorry, the guy that has your namesake is he's like knockoff Brendan Urie. My guy is like always looking like he's straight out of like 2009 Scene, you know. Like, you know, you do you, but, like, he's really, like, some of his outfits are just like, bro. The cowboy hat took me out.
Oh, gosh, the cowboy hat with, like, the black leather or the black jacket.
Leather, the emo eyeliner, the Scene haircut, and the cowboy hat. I was just like, why cowboy hat? I think he had rhinestones, too. But then he also had fishnets?
Oh, yeah, that was a different Scene, yeah. It's like a rocker. Like, he was, like, in an 80s British rock band or something.
Yeah, he looked like he... listened to the Ramones like a lot. But anyway, there's a love triangle. I didn't really care. I tried to care.
The love triangle made us root for Gabriel. So
And Gabriel is like so well, okay. I'm trying to like explain this in a way that like if you haven't seen the show, you're not just like, why? I don't care about this, but like Gabriel is a Scene kid from 2009, escaped, and he's super somehow pretentious and immature all at the same time, which is a weird combination.
Yeah, wasn't he was on a date with Stephanie, and like April and Joey were kind of flirting, and he was like throwing stuff at the table or something.
Yeah, this man simps for Stephanie the entire... Like, he literally follows her around, and then at the very end, they try to make it, like, this cliffhanger of, like, will he reject her? And it's like, of course he's not going to reject her. This kid has, like, followed this lady around, like, on her heels the entire time, like... Which, we can't blame him. Stephanie's great. but like,
Yeah, Stephanie is friends with Pola. We love Pola. If you're friends with Pola, you're great.
I wanted Stephanie and Jose to get
I did
together.
too. And was this? Oh, and I think the love triangle stuff was after the whole Spanish fight.
They're in Mexico on this one episode. And Kelly, who's the big villain, who's decided that she's interested in Jose, who's the good guy we all love. Ooh, ooh, cinnamon roll.
Ooh, ooh, cinnamon Jose, pure cinnamon roll.
We love him. So they're in Mexico, and Jose and his mom are from Mexico, and Stephanie is Mexican or some kind of from some kind of Spanish speaking descent.
Yeah, they all speak Spanish.
They all speak Spanish. So they're speaking Spanish, and Kelly like goes off on like this like I don't know what else to call it other than like a Karen moment, even though that's like oversaid, but like she really was just like, no Spanish. You're excluding people. How dare you speak Spanish? And it's like, okay, first of all, it's their first language, I believe, for all three of them. Or even if it's not Stephanie's, like she speaks Spanish. They're all speaking Spanish together because it's something that they have in common, and they're in Mexico. So probably some of like the crew speaks primarily Spanish. So like this white lady is out here being like, "Oh, well, my family comes from Germany. Are you out here speaking German?" And it's just like it's not the same thing. And also no one would care if you spoke German.
And do you have someone to speak German with? And it maybe, or either she probably heard her name being brought up while the conversations were happening, or was just like, they're talking about me.
I think she just wanted to be the villain and stay on the show longer. I really think that's all it was.
Maybe a producer was like, they're talking about you.
Did you hear that? They said Kelly.
And she's just like, don't speak Spanish. And then Stephanie tries to like talk to her about it. She's like, hey, we're connecting. Like we know how to speak Spanish together. And then Kelly just goes on another rant and she's like, now I'm the bad guy.
I just saw episode 4 is called She's a Bad Milf Jamma. There's no flow at all in that title.
Oh gosh, I think that was the elimination episode.
Yeah, more love triangle stuff. I don't really care. Ryan looks so bad in the end that we all root for knockoff Brendan Urie, which says how far Ryan fell, which is a shame because we were all rooting for Ryan.
Yeah, Kelly kind of dropped him like a hot potato, and we're just like, oh, Ryan. And didn't he makes like this weird bet with Stephanie where he's like, you have to wake up at 5 a.m. so we can watch the sunrise. And if you
can't talk to Gabriel all day, and he's like really possessive, and then like
Gabriel's just like, no, don't do that. That's controlling. Or someone says that's controlling, and so she decides not to do it. And then he's like, you're a liar, and you told me this. You're saying you're just friends, and you're going around, and he's like a puppy dog, da 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 da. Because Ryan and Stephanie had a date, and she's like, oh, Gabriel and I are really good friends, kind of thing.
I love how when people are on dating shows, they're like mad when the people that they're interested in are like dating other people, and it's like that's why you're on a reality show. Don't go on a reality show if you don't want that situation. Like I get it, but don't go on the reality show. Also, what else was I gonna say? The show is just like sapping my life energy.
I was just gonna say, are we still recording?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool.
I just checked.
Or I was just gonna mention, I think I've said this before, but on Naked and Afraid of Love, there was like a guy that was kind of like the F boy who showed interest in other people, but the one person who he kind of connected with was like, why is he trying to connect with other people? And it's just like, well, but then it's just like he's treating all the women the same, and it's not making him feel special, and it's just like that's kind of rude. But it's just like, but you wanna see your potential options. But I don't know. Maybe it's a men thing where it's just like, no, just focus on one person.
Oh, about Ryan. It's always disappointing when like the really cute guy on the show turns out to kind of be a jerk.
Well, I'm just like, well, if Jose did this, I'd be up in arms. But
it wasn't. Jose, it's not gentlemanlike.
Oh God. Yeah, well, we'll get to that, but yeah, it was just and then they kind of brushed that under the rug, and it's never brought up again. And he and Pola seem to have a nice connection, but it's just like, but
it was genuinely endearing how angry he got because he felt like she was being disrespected. It had nothing. He had no horse in the race. It wasn't like his date. It wasn't like anything like that. He was just upset that like somebody else was just being disrespected. And I was just
Oh,
like,
with the
king shit, yes.
Oh yeah, or this is then the final episode where they bring in like loved ones and or like loved ones and friends, and April's ex came in and he was just kind of rude, and Jose was like mad
Oh,
for
we'll get to
doing,
that, because
yeah,
the ex is strange.
and we never see him again after that.
He left. Where was he? He was supposed to be like the family member brought in. All the other family members are there, and he's just gone.
Yeah, and then they had to bring in Jose's sister because they're like, "Hey, can you please do this?" Or even though she could be talking to Jose or Pola,
Yeah, because
and
like their family member just left. But anyway, or I don't know. I don't know why he wasn't there, but he clearly wasn't there, and he was supposed to be. Episode 5.
oh, is this the fruit one?
Episode 5 is called Milf, I'm a Big Boy Now.
Oh no. Oh, this is after the elimination.
Yes, so basically, one of the Aprils and Ricky, her son, just got unceremoniously kicked off. It's clear that they didn't intend for there to be eliminations, but they eliminated somebody just because they weren't getting any like screen time out of these poor people, and so they just kicked them off. We're just like, you're not making any connections, go home. And it's just like, oh.
Yeah, and it was interesting because they're like, oh, you're gonna see who's gonna make a match, and the ones with like the least connections will go home, and it's like, what? And then like April was trying, as I've said before, April was trying to like have, or it looks like she was having kind of Charlene's storyline, and Ricky was trying to have Jimmy's storyline because Ricky's like toes, and April was just like, oh, let me ask the intimate questions right off the bat.
The fact that Jimmy's storyline is being the toes guy.
Well, I'd much prefer that than, by the way, his mom's like had relations with his best friend.
At least it's something about actually him and not his mom.
Yeah.
So this episode 5, the guys, that mom-son pair has been kicked off. New mom-son pair comes in. This is the Goldie Hawn lookalike from Nightmare on Elm Street, and her son, New Ryan, who looks like an NSYNC member. He's got the goatee and like the frosted tips and kind of the longer hair, so I think it's giving Joey Fatone to me. Somehow somebody decided it was a good idea to have sex talk as be an episode.
Yeah, and they had to put a warning at the beginning of the episode, like, this is explicit content, because it's like, oh, there's fruit, but there's also a mannequin, and here's a picture. And Charlene is like, class is in session. This is what needs to happen. This is this, and this is this. And I'm just like...
You were right. You said it sounded like Charlene or one of the other moms wanted to have, like, kind of just, like, a general, just, like, open discussion to, like, stigmatize everything for everybody. And the producer said... I got you. Get one of the PAs to go get all the fruit and vegetables that they can. Can you imagine being the PA buying, like, eggplant,
papaya, orange, banana.
Yeah, so it was, like, the most awkward, like, sex ed class ever because it was conducted by their moms. Some of the moms would call up, like, potential, like, boyfriends that they were interested in and ask them questions about, like, sex and stuff. It was very awkward, but then it got more awkward because then some people would call up their own sons.
And then New Ryan like demonstrated or had to demonstrate something.
He volunteered to demonstrate. They didn't make him.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure a lot of the moms appreciated that. They're like, oh, okay, he knows what he's doing. But then I'm just like, his mother is right there.
Mother is right there, and she did not seem fazed enough. I was like, please be more concerned, mother. That's your son.
Maybe she was just, dissociating. That's what I do a lot. I
don't even know how to say this without it sounding, like, horrible. Like, it was weird. It was like, the sex ed classes with, like, the banana and the... They basically did, like, that, but, like, 10,000 times worse, because there was, like, a... Demonstrate to us how you would do this in front of your mother.
I just remember health class, and it wasn't any of that. It was just like, here are the consequences. Here are pictures. And I hid my head behind my backpack because I was not emotionally mature enough to like see. I feel like I would have been traumatized by that.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, just be careful.
I was raised evangelical. Evangelicals have an abstinence-only look at at teaching you about sex, which is basically we're not going to tell you anything about any of how anything works. We're just going to tell you not to do it. You're going to go to hell if you do it. And also, here's all of the STDs that people contract every single year. Here's all the people that died in the AIDS pandemic. Do you want to be like the people that died and don't have sex? Yeah, it's that approach. It's that approach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure that could be a whole subgenre of just like, well, then this happens if you don't talk about this. But
oh yeah. That's a whole other topic that, I'm sure you guys are not here for, but yeah, that's definitely a topic worth having.
Or Charlene was there for it. That was like Charlene's moment to shine. That's what I feel like that was the moment that Charlene.
She had a pointer. She was like, and this. Actually, I think she was using one of the vegetables as a pointer, but still. Like, and this is where this part is. And it's just like, oh no, Charlene.
And I'm just like, you know what, Charlene? You just want to have fun? Go for it. Try to have as much fun as you can.
Episode 6. Milf told me not to come.
Oh, was that the one where either at the end of the last episode or this episode, or Jose reignites his thing with Kelly and is like, let's sneak out of the villa. Oh, because Kelly was into Jose, but then she yelled about Stephanie and Paula speaking Spanish, and so Jose kind of took a step back, but then Kelly was like, Billy, Stephanie's son. And I feel like she was doing that to get back at Stephanie, but then that didn't work out. And then Jose was like, oh, Kelly seems like a fun time.
Yeah. This was I think the sneaking out happens in the next episode after this. Episode 6 is the one where they have to massage their moms.
Oh yeah, where the sons are blindfolded and, the moms have to, and lie there and get massages. And I wasn't it Joey who is like, it felt like someone had like chicken feet on my back. It felt weird because like, he had like thin fingers.
I think it was New Ryan too, because they were all like, New Ryan is hot because that sex ed class showed us that he knew what he was doing, and then he was like bad at massages, and then everybody was like, he's not hot anymore, guys.
Oh no, oh gosh, I'm watching the new reboot of iCarly, and they're talking about getting the ick, and they're like, he can't give him new massages. He gives us the ick.
Isn't it so weird to watch new iCarly and it's just like, oh, they're like talking about like adult stuff.
Exactly. And I'm just like, I don't know if I like this phase of Carly being like, I'm going to obsess over these men. I followed or I stalked his Instagram and I know everything about him. And here's a framed photo of him from Instagram. I'm like, I don't know if I like this or not.
I've just been rooting for Carly and Freddie since I was 14. So like,
same.
If it's not Freddie that she's stalking on Instagram, what's really the point?
Oh, I remember someone saying, how does Freddie look like he's like 18 and 40 at the same time?
That actor is actually really funny. He's just kind of like one of those actors who's just kind of like, I've done my time. I'm just going to do like bit parts that I think are funny. Like he teamed up with Daniel Thrasher, the YouTuber, to do like this bit about how Daniel Thrasher had him locked in his closet. It was like a whole, like, it was very funny that like he did it. He wanted to work on it. Anyway. Just making sure we're still recording.
Hopefully we are. I don't know if I could talk about... I was doing so well with Jose was with Kelly, but then Paula didn't like that. Paula wanted Shannon to be with Jose, and then Kelly was with Billy. Oh, and then there was the whole storyline where Kelly's like, oh, let's sneak into Paula and Jose's room so we can get in the hot tub, but then the hot tub wasn't working, so they just go into the sauna room in Stephanie and Billy's room. Oh, and then Billy, oh, bless his heart in the northern way, but he was just like, I'm a good kisser, but all right.
People told me I'm a good kisser, but I like your feedback. He hit her with that one.
And I'm just like, ooh.
Oof.
Ooh.
Crash and burn.
Bless your heart.
Yeah, Charlene pursues Jimmy after an erotic massage. So creepy. I don't like the way whoever wrote up the thing. There's no way to make it not sound creepy. I know it sounds creepy what we're saying right now. Also, the ratings are falling with every episode. We're down to 4.7 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, this is the one where Jimmy wins a table on the beach with Charlene.
Yeah. So this show clearly had no budget. They don't have a host. They just have the house. the dates, like, you know how usually on dating shows, like, the dates are, like, over the top? Like, when we did that video on Sexy Beast, like, they were, like, putting them on these,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
crazy dates that were just, like, no one goes on these kind of dates like this, really. Or at least nobody that I know, but, like, I've never been on a rock climbing date, first date.
Or a floral picking date.
Right. This is the opposite of that. They're, like, your date that you win is you get to sit on the same... Sorry. Your date that you win is you get to sit on the same beach that you've been sitting on all this week, but this time you get a table and some cheese squares. Like,
Ooh. Oh, there is, I think they go to like the same restaurant twice. They go to another restaurant, but they're like outside, and then they go to a dance studio, I think is the extent of all the dates that they go on.
dates were very lackluster, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
Jimmy wins his date, and then, sorry, I cut you off.
it's all good. Or I was just gonna say, and they go to the Rock. Jose and Kelly go to the Rock, and Bola's like, I wanted to go to the Rock.
I know,
wanted
I
to
felt
see
bad
it
for
you.
Paulo.
I hope she was able to see that Rock in real life.
Oh, somebody got to swim with, like,
Oh, whale
sharks.
That was Jose and So Young. Why is Jose getting all like the cool-ish dates?
Because everybody loves Jose, so
True.
every time any one of the women wins, they're like, I want to ask Jose out on a date, which is also what I would have done. Like, we all would have done it.
Yeah, the Suns probably would have done it if they could. They're like, I want to hang out with my bro.
Jose just, like, is the real life embodiment of, like, that trope in movies where, like, somebody walks out of the water in slow motion and, like, flips their hair back, and, like, that's Jose, right?
Daniel Craig in that one James Bond movie.
Yeah,
when he comes out of the ocean.
But better than Daniel Craig, let's be honest. I'm sorry,
Oh, okay.
Stans. Yeah. Daniel Craig was never my type. But anyway.
Oh, okay. But yeah, Jose was great.
Jose was great.
But Jimmy wins the date with Charlene and his...
Yeah, and then they're like, they just have a table, and then the other people who didn't win are like, let's go out on a date, and they're like sitting like right where they were. Sorry. They're sitting like right where they were, like next to them, just without the table. So like the only thing they won was the table.
Oh, and Jimmy and Polo went on a paddleboarding date where they tried to do the airplane yoga pose, and it didn't work out.
No, it did not. Also, Jimmy on that same date with Charlene after the massage, she was just like, massage my calves, Jimmy. And so that was what Jimmy got on his date. Poor Jimmy got done extremely dirty.
I hope he's doing okay.
I do too. Episode 7, Milf's Broken Heart.
What is the original song title of that?
I don't know. All I'm thinking of This Ain't My Mama's Broken Heart by maybe they're trying to go for maybe it's Mama's Broken Heart by Miranda Lambert. This ain't my mama's broken heart. That one. It's a country song.
Oh.
Jimmy and Ryan compete for Paula's heart.
Oh, is this the finale?
No, this is episode 7.
Oh, this is the one where they eliminate people who don't have connections, and it's basically the whole episode.
Relationships in crisis. Yeah, so this is the one where Jose and Kelly sneak out together, and we're like, no, Jose, yeah. You can do better.
Because Polo was like, I like Shannon, and we were like, we like Stephanie for Jose, but he decides to go back with Kelly. And we're just like, why though?
This is also the episode where they're like, hey, you need to text us right now as the producers. We need you to text us the person that you feel like you've matched with the most. And if they don't pick you back, then you go home immediately. Like sudden death elimination.
Yep, and Harrison is not there for that.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to Harrison. But basically, it sucks so bad because they basically put the producers are basically putting it on the contestants to, like, send people home. Because Pola, like, 2 different guys match with her. So they're like, all right, step into the center, Pola. Send one of these nice young men packing. And then, like...
I only have one dinosaur in my hand, and this dinosaur represents the gentleman I want to pursue. Anyway.
Well, and then it's also just like, I'm eating gummy worms. Would you like a gummy worm?
Sure.
We've finally gotten almost to the bottom of the 4-pound thing of gummy worms.
Yay.
It's also just like, poor Jose. 3 different women picked Jose.
Thank you.
And then he had to be like, I'm sending 2 of them home.
Yeah, or Pola and Jose were the only ones who had, like, multiple matches, because April and Joey match instantly, Stephanie and Gabriel match instantly, but then Ryan and Jimmy are like, Pola, and she's just like, oh crap. And then Shannon, So Young and Kelly are like Jose, and it's really sad because you can genuinely see that Pola and Jose are like so sad about this because Pola's just like, I really don't want to upset my friendships because you're really great individuals, but I don't want to hurt you. And then when Jose picks Kelly, like Pola like runs over and hugs Shannon because she's like, oh no,
And
this
then
is
like
so
Jose's
sad.
crying. Everybody's crying.
Yeah. And it's just like, oh, why would the producers do this to Pola and to Jose, the two nicest people
Mm.
on the show?
It almost felt like the producers resented them for being nice.
They're not in the drama, but they're so likable that they have to be included, and they're just like, why can't they cause drama?
Mm-hmm. It's almost like they weren't doing like what the producers wanted, but they were also too important to get rid of. So the producers were just like, fine, we want people to not like you.
Oh, is Jose too nice? Is Pola or the phrase used like, oh, Jose needs to cut the umbilical cord, and also that storyline kind of gets dropped where after Jose goes back with Kelly, like no one talks about how like the mother son relationship is too close.
There's multiple plot lines that get picked up for literally 30 seconds and then dropped, and it's like you could have just cut that unless you were that desperate to try to like make content out of this.
Well, I think it was pointed out on another reaction where one of the party scenes that was supposed to be before Lisa and Ryan came in included Ryan and Lisa.
Mm.
Where it was like, oh, this party was supposed to be like after, or they edited it to make it was actually supposed to be like during episode 5, but they made it happen during like episode 4 early on.
Yeah.
So it's just like, oh.
Typical reality show things. Episode 8 is I Ain't Your MILF. This is the one where their families come in.
Oh yeah, and we meet Pola's daughter, Jose's sister, Ella.
I think Ella, yeah.
Ella, yeah.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. And then we have Stephanie's friend Peace who comes in, who talks for a little bit, and then we never hear from her again.
I know, we didn't get to hear from Peace.
Maybe because Stephanie, after the whole love triangle is solved, Stephanie's storyline kind of
fizzles out.
Yeah. And then we have McKenna, Disco Bunny.
Yeah, Disco Bunny.
Kelly's daughter.
Kelly, the bad guy.
Yeah.
Disco Mama.
Disco. Oh, and then we have Billy. April's we haven't really talked about April, but she's the
60-year-old dating or almost 60-year-old dating the 20-year-old. And again, to put this in perspective, she divorced her husband, who she's really still very, very chummy with, and like that was like a plot point of like how inappropriately close she still is with her husband, ex-husband. They divorced when this kid was born, the same year.
Yeah, they divorced in 2003, which was 20 years ago. So around the time he was like he was either born or a small child, they divorced.
Very strange.
And they still like hang out, and they were very close. And he literally like lifted her off her feet and carried her around, and she was just like, oh.
That was when Jose was like, "It's not gentlemanlike."
Yeah, that was when we were like, he was legitimately
disrespecting her.
Yeah, he was like legitimately angry, and I was just like, oh, I love his eyes. They're so fierce.
They're so green.
And he was talking to Joe, and he's like, hey, I was mad for you. I'm so sorry that happened. And it's just like, oh.
I know.
He was just talking to Joey, and it's just like, oh.
And then Kelly's daughter makes Jose so uncomfortable by being like, if I asked you out, would you go out with me? And he's like, no. And she's like, okay, good answer. It's like, what?
Oh, and then she's like touching his wrist and stuff like that, and just being like, oh.
And she's like talking about her mom's sex life and stuff. It's weird.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I don't know if we mentioned how, everyone was talking about Kelly's tatas, and Joey was like, oh, it's kind of weird that they're talking about my mother's tatas. And she's like, oh, you weren't that unfazed when you were drinking milk from them. And it's just like,
don't sexualize your child. That's a completely different thing. What are you talking about?
just please stop, Kelly. But and it was really funny because after Billy like came in for one scene, and then also he was wearing a leather jacket and like in the tropics.
He just disappeared. They started having Emma. Was it Emma? It was Emma.
Emma, yes.
I am so
sorry. Sorry. I apologize to Emma. I apologize to Pola's family. Please don't hate
I
me.
apologize to my family for letting them down.
My family apologizes for me not remembering sooner.
Mm.
And because Billy wasn't there, they're just like, okay, we need and so they're just like, oh no, what do we do? So what they do is they send Emma in to talk to Joey because there are parts where the family members come in, kind of like ask questions and stuff like that, and I guess try to like take the son's eyes away from the mom. And so Emma comes in and she's like, oh hey, and like she and Joey kind of hit it
She
off.
swoops in and steals Joey.
Pretty like it literally in like 12 hours does something that it took like a month. Like he
Is
was
it
there for a
maybe
month.
because she has more in common with him and they have more to talk about because there's not a 40-year age gap?
Probably. And I'm just like, I wonder what their conversations were like, because it was basically like, wow, you're really pretty, and I was literally like, but what else is there?
There were probably a lot. There was
Yeah.
surely a lot more, but
Yeah, and he's like, I can see your honesty through your eyes,
he
and
clearly hit all.
yeah, and so and
She asked him for his number.
and he gave it to her.
Yeah, like, did you see that woman? She was gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm just like, when an when an individual that looks like that individual's family is like, maybe I can get your number, you're just like, yes, yes, automatically.
She was probably still older than him, if I had to guess, but like much more reasonably older than him than he's 20 and she's 60.
Yeah, I think she is younger than Jose, so less than 28 is my
And
guess
he's
for.
20, so like that's more normal.
Yeah, and so, and I think I interpreted this correct. You and I were just like, oh, I could see them hitting it off. I hope they're dating, or I hope they're happy.
Oh yeah. We saw that coming. We were like, ooh.
And it's also interesting to think of like how, or it's just it would be Pola's revenge, because Pola like stole her son, so she's like, you know what, I'm stealing your son away because he's gonna date my daughter, and they're gonna be a lovely genuine couple.
MILF chest, just like, ooh. Oh, you're gonna try to date my son? Well, boom, my daughter's gonna come in and steal your son. Take that.
Look at my daughter. My daughter could have literally any of your sons.
Look at your daughter. Now back to your son. Now back to my daughter. Now back to your son.
Your son and my daughter are dating now. Checkmate.
So I find it funny that out of 10 stars, the final episode, that by the way, it's called I'll Always Love My MILF.
How does that not get at least 7 stars automatically?
It has 3.2 stars.
Oh,
I
no.
think it's because in the end, Jose chose Kelly, although Jose looks like he's being held against his will.
Yeah, we're just like, oh no, he's uncomfortable.
No, like I don't mean to do that thing where it's just like, oh, I don't like that woman, so I'm going to assume that the man is so perfect and whatever. But like, no, this woman was like so like low key racist to him and his mother, and then he was like, fine, and he was just like, I'm so excited for our future together.
You were like, yay, and then for our future together, and you're like, oh. Sorry.
Yeah, because he said like as this chapter closes, and I was like, ooh, he's breaking up with her, and then she's like, a new chapter will open for us together. It's like, no. But like you can tell, like to me it felt like he didn't really hit it off with any of the girls the way that they hit it off with him. So the producers were just kind of like, so since you don't really have a horse in this race, bad guy Kelly. And he was like, bad guy Kelly? And they're like, you can dump her after the show, man. And he was just like, all right, fine. And fine. That was like that was the energy that I got. And I forgot about the risque game of Truth or Dare where
oh gosh.
Jose's sister, and an attempt to be like an annoying sister and annoy him and embarrass him, is just like, I dare you to take a body shot off of my brother. And then he's just like, huh, and it was very uncomfortable. And again, I feel like we're not talking about how uncomfortable this is. Like, if the genders were reversed, this would be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, like that first challenge, if the genders were reversed, it would have been like, oh.
Like, again, like, consenting adults can do consenting adult things, but there's, like, a lot of nuance in this situation, and I feel like people think that women can't be predatory, And that's not true at all. Look at the Colleen Ballinger situation. We're all tired of talking about the Colleen Ballinger situation.
This is my first time hearing about that, so I need to watch some YouTube videos.
Oh boy, I'm
Or
so
do
tempted.
I?
I'm so tempted to do a podcast episode where I just tell you about it, but it's so disturbing. Anyway, yeah. So Paula, Paulo and Ryan end up together.
Yes.
Which they have the most understandable age gap. Like she's in her late 40s and he's like mid 40s, and he's like 30.
Yeah.
It's like there's an age gap, but like I can definitely see how they could like be a functional couple. And then although it is kind of weird because he had that whole fallout with her like really good friend, but like it's a whole, it doesn't matter. Love triangle stuff. We care about the disturbing and horrifying. And then Jose and Kelly end up together. I don't think any of these people ended up together.
Yeah.
April and Joey, the 6-year-old and the 20-year-old, thank God, they decide that they're just friends.
Yeah, because she just saw his chemistry with Emma and was like, you know what? I think I think that this isn't gonna work.
You know how you're friends with your grandmother?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what that was. Yeah. Oh, and then Gabriel and Stephanie end up together.
Oh yeah, they tried to make it like a cliffhanger. Like, is he gonna reject her? And he's like, this man is simping so hard. He has been the entire time. Like, Stephanie walks up the stairs, and who's right there next to it? And honestly, like, that's fine. Like, not saying that like supportive guys are bad. They're definitely not. But like, this man really was into Stephanie. At times, it felt like way more than Stephanie was actually into him. And it's just like, she's like, I want to be with you. And it's just like, is he going to reject her? It's like, no he's
of course not.
I can save us all some time. He's not. So that's it. I don't know if any of them are still together. Feel free to reach out to us. Ooh.
Oh?
We can look up some articles now.
Yay. Oh, God. Or didn't we look at Jose's Instagram and or we looked up an article and apparently Jose and Kelly still follow each other, but they don't comment on each other's posts, which I think is a really big, or which the article thought was a big deal.
I would be shocked to learn that they're still a thing, honestly. And like, if they're happy, you know what? Good for them. Truly.
Yeah, I just hope everyone ended up happy.
Please, everybody be happy and live fulfilled lives.
And please don't send hate to anybody.
Please don't. Here's an article. I've never read this. We're reading this blind. About how they cast it.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Oh, so apparently there is a 30 Rock sketch that I was unaware of called MILF Island that everybody is like, this is like life imitating art.
Oh my God.
But their producer, Daniela Newman, says that she was not aware that was a thing. What I do not find plausible, however, are these claims. Newman says the very first challenge in which blindfolded moms felt up their shirtless sons as the camera salivated over the men's hot bodies was not sexual. What?
What?
That's bullshit. The other claim. Newman insists she thinks MILF means... No.
Wait, what?
Newman insists she thinks MILF means mother I love forever and is a term of endearment in the United Kingdom. I don't know about in the States, but in the UK it's used as a positive term. It's used as a positive term here, too.
Just not in
a non-sexual way. It's literally a mom I'd like to fuck.
Sorry, Mom. Because my mom will probably watch this and she's like, oh, swear words. Oh my goodness. I'm just kidding.
Sorry, Mrs. Gabe's mom. The Oxford English Dictionary, which is published by Oxford University Press, which is based in Oxford College, which is in the United Kingdom last time I checked, does define MILF as a sexually attractive woman who is a mother, or more generally, of an early middle age. So the producer is just like, I had no idea you guys would make it sexual.
I mean, just just playing like Find the Six Pack with your son to find out if he's your son. That's just not. I don't know.
Kathleen Finch, who runs all of Warner Brothers Discovery Cable Networks, was more honest about the show's title when speaking. This is, what am I reading? I'm reading realityblurred.com, their article about the casting. So she was more honest. She said, "We considered calling it a dozen other names. We kind of knew this thing would be controversial, but that's exactly why we chose it. We like causing attention. That is a marketing strategy. I don't think people talk about that enough. We just chose subjects, though, that are loud and unusual, and they're living lifestyles that are not ours necessarily, but they're really interesting, and they're living very genuine lives." And then it's just a picture of their abs. It's
just one person. Can we guess who that is based on their abs? Oh gosh.
The anonymous shirtless torsos of Milf Manor's men are seen in a TLC promo. Let's go back to Daniela Newman, who produces a show in which a 20-year-old man and his 50-year-old mother quote, never wears bras and the girls are always popping out. And then his mother said, "It didn't bother you when you were a baby sucking on him." That was the quote.
Yeah, that was Joey and Kelly, in case anyone...
Newman insists, "I don't really understand what all the fuss is about. And I'm not quite sure what the big deal is. No one's doing anything wrong, and these are all consenting adults. I can't wait to see her defense of the next show, Dilf Dorm, followed by Incest Island, both of which I made up and are not removed from not far from removed from what we're seeing here." I love the sassiness of this article.
Oh, it's always fun when the person is just like, you know what, throw that regular journalism out the door. We're gonna be sassy here.
On Milf Manor, Kelly says, "Why are you following me on the retreat, Joey?" April says, "I knew my son Gabriel was going to be in Mexico with me. I thought he was going to be on a separate dating retreat." But, you know about all those vast complexes of dating retreats.
Just in one spot.
But what does that mean, a separate dating retreat? Another reality TV show? Sitting in a hotel room and swiping on Tinder? How did they get moms and sons together without them knowing? It's standard practice in reality TV acting process to ask for contact information for friends and family members that can serve as critically important emergency contact information. Or it can give producers a way to include a loved ones in the process, whether that's bringing a family member on location for a supervised visit or using them for more diabolical twists.
Like Billy with April.
That was how I suspected Milf Manor was cast. Producers separately contacted sons, perhaps pretending they were casting for a different show. They'd shoot at the same time, but I was wrong. So how do you cast mothers and sons without letting them know what the twist is? Kelly, who had the aforementioned conversation with her son, Joey, about her breasts, was recruited for Milf Manor on Instagram, like so many reality stars before her. Just like Love is Blind. They found people on Tinder, too. Kelly, who had... reports that Mortensen Kelly was told the show would be, quote, an empowering show about older women dating younger men, and incredibly, Kelly did know her son was coming along. Incredibly. Incredibly.
You mean that acting that they were doing when they saw their moms was fake?
That's my mom. Oh my God. You're joking me right now.
I can see that on a shirt. You joking me. You're joking me,
right? She was told that her eldest son, Joey, 20, was invited along to be her support system. She didn't even know the title of the show until her final interview after filming, when producers asked her to read a line for a show promo. Up next on Milf Manor.
Oh.
I wonder if that's when... So she thought that he was just there to support her?
As she's dating other people's sons?
I wonder if that's when producers explained the MILF means mother I love forever, so everything was just fine. And to go back to feeling feeling up her son and talking about him sucking her breasts. The shade.
The
Oh,
shade.
I respect this so much.
Who wrote that?
I don't know. I'll find out in a second. But it's at the end of the article.
Oh, okay.
But I digress. That the mothers and sons all know they'd be in Mexico at the same time, even as each other's, quote, support systems, makes the shock and surprise of the twist strain my credulity. Maybe they've never ever seen or read about a reality TV show before, or maybe the idea of a free trip to Mexico overwhelmed their critical faculties. I hope TLC and Spun Gold filmed Dilf Dorm simultaneously, because I'm not sure they'll be able to get away with such a subterfuge again. Damn. This was written by, who is this article written by? Andy Denart. Andy Denart.
Thank you for writing this article.
Thank you, Andy. Look, I don't like telling people what to do. And some of these people, especially the 26, 28, 30-year-olds, they can do what they want. I don't care. I know the 20-year-old can also do what he wants, but the fact that he was dating the 60-year-old specifically made it weirder. You know? Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that one. And it's just again, if the genders were swapped, we would be having a different conversation. And that's I saw a couple of brief things where we're doing this to empower women because there's such a double standard. And it's well, yeah, okay, but are you saying we need to have morally gray ambiguity in both directions so that that's fair game?
Yes, equality for all. Everything will be morally gray.
I'm just saying, if you're okay with a 60-year-old woman dating a 20-year-old guy, you should be okay with a 60-year-old guy dating a 20-year-old woman, and I feel like most people would not be. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm not saying I'm advocating for 6-year-olds and 20-year-olds to date.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if just swapping the genders changes your mind about this thing, then that's kind of weird, because you're not thinking about the age and the fact that these are young people. You're just thinking about gender binary, which doesn't really mean anything, you know?
Anyway,
I'm just
Milf
trying
Manor.
to find other interesting articles. I just want to know behind the scenes.
Yeah, where usually do we have to go to Reddit?
Oh God.
Because I feel like Reddit probably might not be helpful, but it's just it's so new, and maybe once it's in its 5th season, we'll get some controversial stuff about what happened. Maybe someone can, or once someone's NDA is up, they can.
Should we email Jose right now?
I don't want
to bother this man, but also I just want to tell him that I think he did great.
Yes, you're doing
and
amazing,
I would love
sweetie.
to know anything that he has to say. He probably is still under NDA, but we can
ask. We can always ask. Maybe he could be oh, ask me at this point, and then we'll be okay, we'll be waiting for you, Jose.
He probably will never respond to me, which is valid. Sorry, Jose.
Sorry, Jose. I'm sure a lot of people are this is weird that you want to contact Jose and ask him politely about his time on Milf Manor.
Oh.
This
is an article about how allegedly, this is the Daily Mail, so take this with what you will. Apparently, a bunch of the cast members gave interviews post show about how much they all hated Kelly.
I mean, based on her portrayal in the show, I'm not surprised, but that's kind of I don't want to be oh, Kelly's edit is true, but then on other shows be no, their edit was false. And
we don't know what the edit. Yeah, we can't judge this person based on what we saw on the show. I will say that if she stands by her arguments around speaking Spanish,
then we're
that's kind of racist. I agree that is racist. I'm not saying. Yeah, maybe it was edited way out of context, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how you could.
And if most of your cast members are we don't really like you, then there's another show that I don't want to talk about where a lot of the contestants are we don't like this person, and this person's I'm being bullied, and it's just well, you're not, and And it's just like, and a lot of these people are off the show and saying they don't like you.
I love how
So
Daily Mail, complete like tabloid trash, is like, we know you might be grossed out watching Milf Manor moms dating each other's sons. Even Daily Mail is like, we know.
we have standards, even though we're kind of, even though we're not the best, we still have standards. When the Daily Mail says that, it's just like, oh, what do they all say about Kelly?
Okay, so apparently there's no one on record being like saying like anything about Kelly. It's just talking about how like the general vibe and stuff and how like fans hated her. So I don't even know if that's true.
Oh,
It's the Daily Mail. This is a tabloid. I don't believe in tabloids.
Clickbait.
Clickbait. This is why we don't vibe with tabloids.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not much press on this show, which I'm shocked about because if you go on YouTube,
it's so popular.
The YouTube community, we got you out here. We got you.
Maybe because people are still holding on to their NDAs and they're just like, we can't talk about this yet.
Maybe.
Okay, so on January 15th, 2027, we'll probably know more. Or no, it's 5 years, so 2028. Because usually NDAs last 5 years, don't they? Or after the production comes out.
Usually it's depending on like most of the ones that I signed were like 2 years.
Oh, okay.
But it completely depends. They could make the NDA, I think, whatever they want.
I remember Lisa D'Amato was talking about how I believe I may have heard this wrong, but she was saying how the NDAs for America's Next Top Model were 10 years, and because apparently that's the statute of limitation on like unsafe work conditions.
Ooh.
So that's why you're hearing about the top model contestants coming out now and giving interviews because they couldn't break their NDA for 10 years.
That's interesting. That's interesting.
Yeah, but Gina from Cycle 24 has very much broken her NDA, but apparently they haven't come for her.
Well, I would be willing to bet. I'm not a lawyer, so this is not legal advice. But I'd be willing to bet that if that's the reason why it's 10 years, there's probably something in that NDA that might not hold up. Right?
Yeah.
So you gotta be, the NDA is more... It is very legally binding, but it can also sometimes, if it's, certain productions that are shady, can absolutely write shady NDAs. Yeah. Like, being like, you can't advocate for your own workplace safety is just not really something that they can just say, right? Like, we have a friend, we have a friend who, was told that if she contacted OSHA, she would be blacklisted. That's not legal. That's not legal because if that was the case, then OSHA couldn't exist. Like if that was the case, OSHA couldn't exist. So it's just like, yeah. So anyway, we have just talked for an hour and a half about Milf Manor.
Yay! You're welcome.
Spencer.
Sorry. Sorry. Well. You made us watch this, Spencer. Or you gave the suggestion for this, Spencer.
You're sorry, Spencer.
I take away one of my 20 sorries for this episode. I'm very sorry, Spencer. One of them.
I'm going to take my non-fandom specific interdimensional space and time traveler thingy, and I'm going to go to a universe where this doesn't exist.
But not the Dilf Manor.
Oh God, no! You know what? Oh, we should go. We didn't go to the alternate universe where Kingdom of the Sun existed last week, so let's go there.
We're going to Kingdom of the Sun. We're gonna see the context for Snuff Out the Sun.
Snuff Out the Light.
Snuff Out the Light. Sorry.
Such a good song.
So good. Eartha Kitt is a treasure.
Yes. Flash warning.
Whoa.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you
for listening. Wherever you get your podcasts, be sure to check us out on YouTube if you're not. Avery Talks About Stuff.
Gabriel Custic.
Yes, and on the Avery Talks About Stuff channel, under podcasts, you can find this podcast and all the previous episodes. Thank you for being here. Be sure to rate us, leave us a comment. Like, subscribe, follow, do all the various things. Share. I'm trying to think of all the different things that you do across like 15 different platforms. So, do whatever you do to support content if you like it. We appreciate you.
Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Woo!